Hi guys, Gosselin here, and here's another update on my Hobby Boss Huey, which is going to be kit bashed with a Revell Huey Hog to make, in the end, a UH-1C Huey Hog. So, yeah, it's been just styrene surgery. I feel like a doctor, just cutting and hacking and sawing away with all sorts of different Dremel tools and saw blades. And the finished result is pretty good. I don't know if you can see it, but I've cut away the entire both doors, and I worked on my vents. I still have one screen hole right here. I'm going to work on that later when the time comes. But it looks really sharp, really smooth. I had almost no trouble getting it cut. Definitely was very delicate work removing the final remnants of the doorway, but I just masked the whole frame with Tamiya tape and then filed and sanded everything nice and smooth, so it should pose no problem for the final results. The next headache for this project was the interior, and I want to thank Norm Lajoie, who sent me a link to figure out how to make the that matting quilt. It's kind of like a sound buffer inside. So what I was originally going to do was just take some foil coffee cover can like this. And I was just going to use this to emboss milliput putty. But the article that Norm suggested was the actual model builder used this foil and cut it out, and then just put it inside and lined the interior. So I collected a bunch of these, and the scale is a little big, and I just think it's a little, maybe the scale of my model is a little too small. So I decided to be bold and try something different. So I took this away and I said, hey, that Revell Huey Hog has the interior matting already molded in. So we have the rear panel, and then we have the roof right here. Now none of these pieces actually fit, so I did a lot of measuring and trimming. And I'm still got to do a little bit of fine-tuning on the walls, but for the most part it fits on the back wall, and that's great. That eliminates a huge headache. This piece right here is actually the entire roof system of the Huey Hog from Revell, and I had to completely sand the roof piece. As you can see, I took out all the details are gone, all the rivets, all the little bumps. I smoothed it and sanded it until it was really smooth. The rest of the roof extension I just cut in half, and I grinded down my edge work using a Dremel. So now it completely fits on the inside roof of the Hobby Boss helicopter right here. And it fits really well. No major problems. The only thing I need to worry about is I got to fill in a few ejection pin marks and a few rough pieces, but for the most part the effect of the quilt material is not lost, and it's going to be quite pronounced. So I'm happy with this result, and it just takes away a lot of the stress, and it keeps it all fun. So I think if I tried cutting this material out, I would have lost my mind, and it wouldn't have been fun, and this project may have had to come to some sort of closure, which I really don't want to do. So that's all done with that. My next headache was the engines, because now that I opened these vents, I exposed the visibility of these engines. So the headache was that this is a Revell engine, but Hobby Boss didn't design a helicopter to take an engine. So what I've had to have done is I had to cut everything apart into pieces, and further more pieces, So that's kind of like what I got now. So what I'm going to do is just, I don't even think I'm using this rotor piece anymore, because I'm just going to keep the one for Hobby Boss. And I'm going to cut this in half so that this piece will end up here and this lower piece will be here. And I'll just mount it into the inside of the hull somehow. And that should fit with no problems. And because I'm using the Revell Huey Hog rotor blades, I got to make sure that the rotor, I can marry it into this rotor blade socket. But it looks like, you know, definitely just use a bunch of aluminum or brass tubing, and I can get it into the shaft, and that should pose no major problem. So my last techniques, I need to work on the blades. Gotta do some filling and some sanding. I do have a question, I have to research it, but all the pictures of my Huey that I've taken off of the internet suggests that the rotor blades didn't have that typical sagging that you see from a stationary helicopter. So I was wondering if anybody out in my audience has any information on the Huey helicopters from the Vietnam period, whether or not these blades had any real sag. Because the ones that I have, it just seems that they kind of lean to one side or the other, but the blades themselves don't appear to be sagging. Because if they do, I'll just take the heat form method and I'll just bend my blades a little bit. But the pictures that I see, they don't seem to have any. The next situation was the floor. I received in the mail my Airwaves anti-skid plate. And it's a 1/48 scale, and it looks really, really sharp, really nice. And I'm going to put it onto the floor of my Huey. And to ensure that I have a nice fit, I made a paper template right here, and it fits pretty well into the floor of the Huey helicopter. So based on my measurements, I have one chance to make a screw up with the brass, because I can get two pieces out of this. So I'm going to keep on working with the paper so that I have almost perfect measurements before I actually start cutting into the brass, because I really don't want to waste this material. But once the floor is in, we're all set to rock and roll. I have my seats, which I'm working on. These are the Revell stock pieces. I've cut the legs off, and I'm using pictures right now as references. I'm going to put in my own leg supports, and I'm going to put on the reverse more detail, and I'm going to put in my own seatbelt harness system. And once those are out of the way, I can begin working on the ammunition canisters, which sit right underneath the back seat. And so far, I think it's just going to be really basic. I might just take some styrene blocks, cut them out, stick them in. There's looks like there's 4 ammo cans of some type that sit underneath the seat, and they feed into the M60 machine guns. Which lastly, the armament system, most of it is taken from the Revell kit. And the rocket pods I'm going to keep. The M60s I am going to throw out. I may just keep the root, which hooks up into the armament frame, but I'm going to completely scratch build the M60s using styrene and rod. Again, I'm not shooting for accuracy. I just feel that the plastic doesn't do much, and a little bit of brass tubing and styrene and some wiring, I think it's going to make a better presentation. And so there's plenty of work still to do on the workbench, but I'm getting there, slowly but surely. It's definitely outside my comfort zone. There are a few moments of tension this weekend when I was building, whether or not this was going to continue. But so far things are going very well. I'm very happy, very pleased with the results, and I see no reason why I can't make this thing happen. So this is Russ Gosselin signing out, and model on, have fun, and I'll see you again here on YouTube. Goodbye.